afternoon, my name is Corey Barnett, and today I'll be talking about organ donation. So, what you really need to know is what is organ donation, and basically it's self-explanatory. It's the donation of organs and tissues to a participant or to a recipient that is in need. There are two types of organ donation: deceased donation and living donation. Living donation is when a living participant donates a non-vital organ such as like a kidney to a recipient that is in need of one. And then deceased donation is when the donor has passed away and their organs and tissues are surgically removed to help others that are in need. And 21 people die every day waiting an organ transplant. So what organs can be donated? It's mostly all of them, like the heart, lungs, liver, and even some parts of the eye can be transplanted. And one donor can save up to 10 lives, so it's really crucial that people get signed up for the national waiting list and signed up to be a donor. So getting on the waiting list, a potential recipient must visit a registered transplant hospital or facility to be physically evaluated to determine eligibility for the waiting list. Many transplant centers have specific criteria for the waiting list acceptance. If a person qualifies, he or she is added to the national waiting list. Seems pretty easy, but like most people aren't even signed up to be. It is the waiting that figuratively and literally kills people. And according to the United Network of Organ Donation, there are currently over 114,000 people on the waiting list. This is due to the current donation policy in the United States, which is an opt-in system. The opt-in or informed consent policy really says without written or documented consent, a person is not a donor. So anyone can provide explicit consent by registering with the state donor registry, sign and carry a donor card, designate desire to donate on a driver's license, or inform a family member. But an easier way to get more people to be a donor is the opt-out system. An opt-out or presumed consent donation system presumes all individuals over the age of 18 to want to be a organ donor unless they remove themselves from the nationally registry. And according to the American Medical Association Council, to remove themselves, an individual can really just go online, download an app, or phone in their decision to not be an organ donor. It's pretty simple. So without a person specifically stating he or she does not want to be a donor, the person basically says they're willing to donate their organs if anything would happen to them. The opt-out policy has great benefits like the potential to increase the availability of transplantable organs by influencing people's attitudes and decision makings, behavior, and consent decisions. If people's attitudes are changed regarding organ donation, there would be an increase in available number of organs. So some countries have implemented this, like Spain, Belgium, France, Australia, and Wales. They all have opt-out organ donation policies in place, and these countries have seen a 20 to 30% increase in viable organs. And in the U.S., people say they want to donate. In fact, 95% of Americans sign up or say they support organ donation, but only 40% are signed up. There is disconnection between what is morally and ethically right and actually doing it. Opt-out policy really bridges the gap with these problems and tries to connect everything together so we can be like the other countries. The American Medical Association states people are reluctant to contemplate their own death. Death is a hard subject for everyone to talk about. People choose to avoid registering because they don't want to think about dying, or they don't want to think about their loved ones being dead. An opt-out would remove thoughts about death as a barrier from registering, because they are already registered to donate. Once they reach the age of 18, they really don't have to do anything with the opt-out system in place. Opt-out policy allows for freedom of choice. People can decide not to donate, which supports autonomy because people have the option to register and unwillingness to donate, and the default choice is easy to avoid. The opt-out policy may conflict with some religions. However, many religions have come in support of organ donation and declared donating organ does not keep the body from going from heaven or any other religious belief area. The opt-out policy allows for easier consent decisions as well. So, under current opt-in policy, policy must ask a family for final consent before removing organs. Regardless of deceased wishes, family members have the final say. In opt-out countries like the United States, families turn down the organ donation by more than 50%. However, in countries that use the opt-out system policy, families turn down. The family turn down rate is only 20 to 35%. So Spain, for example, is 20%, while France is 31%. These rates suggest it's easier for doctors when the deceased donor's decision is to donate their organs rather than not wanting to. Family members in these instances find it easier to accept their loved ones' choices, just because, going back to this problem where death is not an easy thing to come with, and organ donation is probably the last thing on the family's minds. So ultimately, the number of people on the national organ donation wait list makes it difficult to argue against any policy like an opt-out system that has potential to increase the number of available organs. So most Americans support organ donation, yet few take advantage of the simple processes by which to register their desire to donate. Second, the opt-out policy would eliminate procrastination, laziness, or uncertainty of organ donation. One would automatically be registered to donate without any effort. The burden is placed on the unwilling participant, which feeds into the fourth reason to support an opt-out policy. The reason is the opt-out policy keeps Americans more in line with the Good Samaritan Act to help others in need should they have the appropriate knowledge and ability. Morally and ethically, Americans feel responsible to help others. The opt-out policy matches the morality and ethics by most Americans. Third, family members are going through a rough time without having to make a decision about organs. The opt-out policy eliminates the need for families to get involved. And finally, the opt-out policy plays into the notion of doing something selfless to help others, and is the ultimate feel-good way in which to end one's life, knowing many people can benefit from your organs. It's time for Americans to step up and remain on the National Registry and put the body parts they aren't using to use in someone else. After all, during this time it took me to present today, another person has been added to the organ donation transplant waiting list, and 2 people have already died from not receiving an organ.